The Final Frontier. These are your adventures as you explore, seeking out new life and civilizations, expanding your borders and exploiting the resources you find, befriending allies, or exterminating the foes that get in your way.
Contact detected entering sector. Configuration unknown. Assessing. Initiating countermeasures.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to today's episode of Star Trek New Worlds. Exciting and delighting day today. We're going to be talking about voyages through Wormhole. It's not DS9 style, no, Lost in Space style. We're going to talk about the continuous creep of the Borak Empire, the pecacons, maybe, of retaliation that we're getting, and of course the growing clouds, the gathering clouds, there we are, the gathering storm on the horizon for the Borak Empire, the inevitable extinction level event that is coming. We're going to talk about that. So with all that said, a quick poll in the chat for all of you. How is the audio sounding today? As you may have noticed on the past couple live streams, we've been experimenting with some, or I've been experimenting with some different audio interfaces. And so what is that looking like for you today? Is it sounding good? Thumbs up. Yes. Is it sounding bad? Thumbs down. No. And otherwise, put your comments in the chat as to how things are sounding. With all that said, we should probably get to some of the more exciting and delighting things that we'll be discussing today, such as the galactic news. Welcome to GNN. If it's not true, we're not telling. Closed for renovation. This year has seen unprecedented instability of the very fabric of galactic space. One of the first stable wormholes ever discovered linking ISC and Federation space has become so volatile that it is no longer safe for travel. Scientists are at a loss as to how or why this has happened, but the effect is predicted to last for many months. Is this a natural phenomenon or something more sinister? For now, timely travel towards Terra takes too much trouble. Shoulda took a left turn at Albuquerque. Another strange space-time phenomenon has occurred in Klingon territory. An entire sector of space seems to have been lifted and moved across the galaxy. Caught in this riptide was Task Force Gamma, which now finds itself on the far side of Hydran territory. Rumors abound the Klingons have been experimenting with exotic subspace technology found in a derelict alien vessel years ago. Is this a result of mad science gone wrong? And are the Klingons close to another breakthrough that will shock the galaxy? Klingon High Command was unwilling to comment on this topic. Chuds! In Sector November 15, a former Borak colony world caught, let's try that again. In Sector November 15, a former Borak colony caught in the war zone with the Carnivons, has given a collective nope to what they consider an insane galaxy. The entire population has abandoned the surface of the world and retreated into fortified underground bunker cities. Carnivon naval forces have found these cities impervious to orbital bombardment. If anyone wants to take possession of this world, it will take boots on, or rather under, the ground to do it. Gunboat diplomacy. The Borak invasion of Paravian space continues. More resources and more bases have been captured by advancing Borak forces over the world of Isotope. A Borak cruiser opened fire on a diplomatic envoy. While the diplomatic team narrowly escaped, the Paravians have logged a formal complaint regarding this violation of civilized norms. Borak engineers are busy constructing bases in Paravian space to support the ongoing war on the other side of the wormhole. What are the goals of the Borak in this area of space? It appears as if the entire Borak nation is uprooting and relocating itself across the galaxy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been your galactic news. All right, so some exciting things happening with, shall we say, frequent flyer miles being cashed in to travel across the galaxy in all corners, in all places. It seems that the North, in some way, shape, or form, is migrating south, whether it be through wormholes or spatial anomalies that transport them across the universe. So, very exciting combination of events. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, like Friday, just the facts, man. Just the facts. That's what I care about. So let's take you over to the numbers. That's right, live from the ticker in our intergalactic trading floor. Here are the latest macroeconomic numbers. That's right, the Tholians are coming in at 63.5 EP total, followed, advanced shortly by the Lyrans with 65.5. The ISE, the second part of the CLI trifecta, is at 68.5. The Hydrons and the Borak are neck and neck at 74 and 74.5 respectively. The Paravians just a half point ahead at 75. The Kzinti riding high on their sweet 8080 total EP. The Federation just a little bit ahead at 86.5. The Carnivon in a complete different stratosphere at over now 100, or 100 even, I should say, hitting triple digits. And the Klingons, as you can see by the graph, hitting 117.5. Note the precipitous drop in the orange Paravian line since the introduction of the Borak into that area of space, and the uptick of the pink Borak line, and notably the Hydrons as well. So some dramatic things that are happening across the galaxy, both economically and, of course, militarily. What is it going to mean for these different empires as they advance forward? Will we see economic collapse? And on the flip side, economic success, a boom in the economy of the conquering empire, or whomever that may be? I don't know. We'll have to see as things continue. All right, let's slide back to the chat and check in with our members. All right, so hello, everybody. As I said, there is a poll up. If you haven't already checked it out, then take a moment to hit yes or no as to whether the audio is sounding better for you. Sounds like the overwhelming answer is yes. We'll close that a little bit later, just so you guys can all get your 2 cents in. We've got Bill Smitty in the house. Okay. The chat is a little slow today. I see Bill Smitty is in the house. And we've got Lost Muskrat here. Hello, Jerome. And of course, soon to be, I'm sure, Faru is going to be watching at some point in the near future. Faru is our latest subscriber, as you can see there. And if you are a fan of all things Star Trek, turn-based strategy, and so on, then please feel free to consider to be like Faru. Hit that subscribe button. It's free to you. Hit the thumbs up if you like to tickle the algorithm in just the right way. And otherwise, stay up to date on the latest live stream, community posts, and of course, shorts that come out on this channel by making sure your notifications are bing, 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 turned on. All right. So, with so little chitter chat going on in the chat right now, let's think about where we're going on the big map. We're going to be talking about our good friends, the Klingons, the Northern Alliance moving their way down, and of course, what's happening down south with the folks down below. So, without further ado, let's slide over to the big map. All right. I'll end that poll now. It sounds like and looks like you are all enjoying good audio. 100% seem to think that the audio is good. Total of 8 votes there. That is excellent. Thank you very much for that. There we go. All right. So here we are in the big map. Let's pull up the fleet cap numbers so we can see how people are growing or shrinking respectively when it comes to their militaries. All right, what do we got? The Borak sitting at 98 total ships. That's a significant increase over the past couple turns. We noticed that, of course, the Borak had sub 50 only a few turns ago, and now they're approaching the 100 mark of total ships. Of course, the Carnarvon are sitting back there. I should say the Borak have a total of 192 attack, 416 defense. Quite the split between the attack and defense factors for sure. And, of course, the fleet cap is 423, so there's a little bit of a delta there with some crippled ships. The Carnarvons are at 172, nearly double the Borak's total fleet count, with 376 total attack factors, oh my god, and 685 defense with a 697 fleet cap. The Federation have 76 total ships in their fleet with a 165 attack, 300 defense, 303 fleet cap. The Hydrons down in the bottom right corner with their new Klingon guests are sitting at 72 with 158 attack, 310 defense, matching their fleet cap. The ISC in the top right corner of the map, the yellow, the yellow and black are at 64 total ships, 157 attack, 285 defense with a fleet cap, 291. The Klingons, with the biggest economy in the game, have the second largest military force, although the delta between the Carnarvons and the Klingons is getting a little out of hand. Again, the 108 ships versus the 172 is quite interesting, with the 305 total attack factors for the Klingons and 493 defense. Their fleet cap still quite a difference of 529. So they're still maintaining all those crippled F4s and perhaps more in other places, just waiting to get repaired. The Kzinti down below with our sweet 80 income at 64 ships in their fleet, 148 attack, 264 defense, matching their fleet cap. The Lyrans at 94 total ships, so very close to the Borak. Again, peer-to-peer here with 224, much more significant attack factors, and 417 defense with a fleet cap of 419. I think it is, without doubt, the Lyrans have a more potent offensive fighting force than the Borak do, probably due to our crappy frigates, amongst other things. Okay, so that's the Lyrans. The Paravians, now with a total of 45 ships in their fleet, 119 attack, 221 defense, fleet cap, 224. We'll have to explore a little bit later whether that'll be enough regarding what is coming through that wormhole. The Tholians, our last faction on the list, with a total of 81 ships, 138 attack, 363 defense, matching their fleet cap. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our fleet numbers. Okay, so let's take a look at the map. I will move my head to the other side because, of course, I'm in the way. All right, so we've got in the top left here our good friends, the Klingons, largest economy in the game, second largest fleet of ships in formation. And as we go around the top and around, let's zoom in a little bit more so you can see a little bit more of what is happening here. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. So we come over here. We can see in the top left corner, we have a base completing construction very shortly. Am I missing a ship? 98 spring. Let's just do a quick check here. I feel like I have to pull up my own turn sheet just to check. I feel like the turn is, so 98 spring was the turn that just passed. So there may have been a tug or a convoy or something there. I can't remember what it was. It is no longer there. Interesting. So you can see a D4E up in the top left corner, continuing to do exploration. This base is fully operational. So with a 4 supply, it hits the corner and touches everything up to about here, this HO1 hex. Interesting. Okay. So as we scroll around, this is very interesting. Okay, so as we scroll around, we'll go around the bottom and come back up the top and come back to what I'm sure those of you who have keen eyes have already seen. So we got a couple of D6Ms continuing their exploration. A couple more down here. Ooh, look at this. A couple more down here. These D6Ms are really starting to populate Klingon space. I wonder what's going to happen once those D6Ms have a target to focus on. As we go around the bottom, you will see the confluence of cruisers and exploration vessels, D4, T4, D4Es, and so on as we go around. A couple of task force. Diplomat working its magic on this now medium planet, trying to get it all friendly. We got E1Ts helping a large exploration freighter and a tug, possibly giving extended supply. Well, this is a friendly planet, so it's providing supply, so that's good. Large exploration freighter, more tugs. I'm surprised the tugs aren't doing more construction, considering the size of the Klingon economy. And of course, we have some convoys over here with. Let me just take away the ships for a sec. Oh, okay. So this base right here completed in 2 turns. So not this turn, but the next turn. Interesting. As we go around, we've got Red Fleet with West Fleet. Again, another crippled F4 right there. T4 being a tug. I wonder, and it's building a base. Is it completed? 98 fall. That'll be this turn that we're processing. The base here will be complete. As we scroll up, we can see, again, we've got in the middle here, we've got a couple of F4s and Green Fleet. Now, remember, I think Green Fleet that's a Martok thing. Oh, okay. So 2 F4s, a bunch of E1Ts, which are theater transports, and some planetary ground bases that they are transporting. Interesting. We've got Blue Fleet with 1st Imperial War Squadron over here. Let's see. Imperial War Squadron number 1. That's a bunch of crippled F4s. And, of course, Blue Fleet. If we bring back the Klingon Blue Fleet, that is non-crippled F4s. So 5 non-crippled, 3 crippled. 3 crippled, just sitting there on the border, not doing much. As we scroll up here, we can see more exploration freighters and, of course, E1Ts doing their thing. And as we scroll back to the homeworld, I think you will notice the thing I noticed right away, something that the Klingons are known for, sort of like a specialty unit they have. And with the size of the Klingon economy, it is no surprise that they have invested their money in this behemoth of a ship. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There is a B4 battleship right there. Now, what's interesting about the B4, if memory serves, I will have to let my GM correct me if I'm wrong, because granted, it's been just a tick since I've played the Klingons. But if memory serves, the B4 is a Y-era battleship, meaning it can only move 4. Still 10 command, and of course it's a 9-14 ship. But it can go through an upgrade to the B4B. And I believe the B4B has M-era weapons, still Y-era engines. So I think with the upgrade, it goes to a 12-14. I think. I'd have to check. Maybe our Klingon player can correct us. You let me know how things are going. Do me a favor, everybody, just because I'm not seeing any activity in the chat. If you're in the chat, just give me a quick Y or a hello or something, because it looks like, from my perspective, from what I can see here, the chat is static. So just give me a quick little boom. There we go. Lost Muskrat is in the house. Okay, so the chat is active. There we go. What? Says Jim. There we go. Yeah, B4 is in the house. So I'm thinking like the B4B is coming shortly. And when the B4B arrives, as far as like the upgrade that can happen, things are going to get exciting and delighting. That is for sure. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, let's not hold back. Let's get excited. A photon has been fired by one and none other than Lost Muskrat. Let me take a quick sip from my chalice of elixir of life here. That's right. You too can get your New Worlds Cup at stnewworlds.com. Oh, don't be shy. All right. And you too can have delectable drinking experiences through your chalice of power, such as the New Worlds glass. Okay. Thank you very much, Lost Muskrat, for that fire of photon. I'm noticing there is no progression on our coffee bar. What's going on here? Edit the goal. Yeah, okay, update. There we go. Okay, there should be some progress. I see progress on the bar, and yet there is nothing on here. Again, these technical issues, like why and how is this stuff happening? Very strange. Okay, let's see if I can fix it on the fly as we are going here. What do you think about the idea of this B4B, or just a battleship to begin with? Because a battleship is a unique vessel for any faction. The Klingons now having it, what do you think they're going to do with it? It's obviously a combat vessel. They're obviously going to do crazy things with it in the sense of hurting somebody. So who are they going to hurt is the question. All right, I've refreshed that progress bar, and yet still it is not showing our correct colors. I don't know how to change that on the fly other than what I've already done. Okay, it would seem that this particular plugin is not working at the moment. Oh, there it is. There we go. Finally, third time's the charm. All right, there we go. Back to the chat, shall we? All right. So let's talk about our good friends, the Carnivon. That's right, the wolf pack in full effect and stereo sound. The green and yellow, you might say. Let's start with the top, work our way to the right, and come down to the bottom where all the activity is. And let's see what's going on. You can see along the Klingon border here, we have Wolfpack 4 sitting, silent, watchful. What are the Klingons doing? Well, the Carnivon are certainly biding their time, sitting back. And with Wolfpack 1, or Wolfpack 4 rather, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see they have a destroyer and a total of 5 frigates. So certainly not anything that is going to rock the boat, change the balance of power without any, yeah, certainly not in any new period of time here. But as we scroll around, we can see a couple of other interesting things. We got a couple of 3DDs over this planet, Petra. Another 3FFs kind of scattered up here, sort of ever so subtly placing ships in places that are not attracting a lot of attention. Interesting. As we scroll around, we can see exploration ships, the YSR, the small exploration freighter, a tug, a large exploration freighter, trying to work out the last little bits of fog of war hexes in the top right corner. Also down here, you can see more of that happening with the YSRs and the large exploration freighters as bases are being built. We can also see here, for example, a YDK that a commercial convoy is heading towards. So there will be a trade route soon established between the ISC and the Carnivon. So we scroll down here, we can see, let's just skip over this concentration of ships for a second. We can see tugs and survey ships, again, pushing down into the fog of war space, and then the concentration of ships. Let's start on the top and work our way towards the front. We've got a couple tugs heading towards the front line. Looks like they're embarked with some EP. We've got a concentration of ships here. We've got Sapphire and Wolfpack 6, along with a Dreadnought, command cruiser, three destroyers, 3 frigates, another 2 frigates, so 5 frigates, 3 destroyers, a cruiser, command cruiser, and a Dreadnought, plus Sapphire and Wolfpack 6. So, Wolfpack 6, let's take a look. Wolfpack 6 is a bunch of crippled ships. This is from the initial assault, a bunch of light cruisers that are crippled, and 2 DDs. And then we have Sapphire Fleet, which if we pull that baby up, booyah. Drone bombardment cruiser, frigate, and a cruiser. So nothing too crazy. But with all the ships that are stacked here, you know, I don't think this base is in any fear of ever getting touched by anyone. We've got a couple frigates floating around in the area. One with a diplomat trying to persuade our Riemann friends here to come alongside. We've got the Vudar who are unhappy with the Carnivon. It'll be interesting to see how that evolves. We've got a tug upgrading a YBS to a YDK in this Kilo 14 area. We have Diamond and Ruby fleet. Oh my goodness. Diamond, Ruby. My God, look at this. This is unbelievable. So command cruiser, destroyer, 11 frigates, 3 drone bombardment cruisers, and commando ships. Then another command cruiser, another cruiser, drone bombardment cruiser, 3 destroyers. Oh my God. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's try and put it all together. We have 2 command cruisers and a cruiser, a drone bombardment cruiser. We have 4 destroyers, and is that a 5 drone bombardment destroyers, 2 commando ships, and then 13 plus 11, 24 frigates in these 2 hexes. Dear God, man. Dear God. And then on top of that, we've got a survey ship doing its thing. We have Emerald Fleet with a bunch of stuff. They're building a base right here. You can see there is a drone bombardment cruiser, 3 cruisers, and a command cruiser, plus Emerald Fleet. So Emerald Fleet is... So Ruby and Diamond Fleet, no, that's not big enough. What else we got here? We've got 13 frigates, 6 destroyers and a drone bombardment destroyer, 6 cruisers and 2 command cruisers on top of that. So this trifecta of fleets between Emerald, the ships that are stacked here, and Diamond and Ruby, just unreal. Just unreal. And then, that is not to be outdone by Home Fleet itself. That's right. Coming home to roost is the Dreadnought with supporting cruisers, 3 of them, 3 drone bombardment cruisers, and 13 frigates. Jesus Christ. So many frigates. Okay. So 13 frigates plus the 6 cruisers and a Dreadnought. I mean, this, if there was a space nuke that went off and somehow could take out this pocket of ships, woo, things would change. But as it is right now, that is Hammer, and the blue is the Anvil, and yeah, I'm about to get pounded. Hence, Gathering Storm, shall we say. Holy Dinah, that's a boat ton of business going on right there. That is for sure. Well, since we're in this neck of the woods and we're right close to the Borak concentration area, let's scroll down and take a look at the Lyrans just while we're doing it. Okay, so let's take a look at some of our Lyran friends. We've got a bunch of... Let's see here. Is there a base being built? Yeah, okay, so there's a base being built that will be completed 99 spring, so in 2 turns. And then we've got a bunch of exploration activity happening in this area. So we've got convoys pre-positioned, ready to build bases and support the logistics and expansion of their borders. In addition to that, we've got, as we go down here, we've got a concentration of ships, a YDK commercial fleet heading towards the Federation, commercial convoy that is. Survey ships doing their survey action in and around this area. Looks like a tug getting ready to build another base based on the edge of supply. And then, of course, we've got a space amoeba just floating in the background here, pretty close to the homeworld. So I would imagine they probably want to build something and deal with that sooner rather than later. In our previous game, in which the Lyran player was playing the Lyrans, there was a particular monster that was ignored for a period of time, and it created a lot of headaches and hassles for that particular player. So I would imagine they probably want to identify and deal with this monster ASAP. Above and beyond that, what do we got? We got some diplomatic action occurring with the Gorn here. You can see they're still indifferent. We've got a tug with 10 EP and just a couple frigates sitting there doing their thing. We've got 2 tugs, no base building though. Interesting. Home and Night Roar. And of course, you can see that the Lyrans are ever so steadily creeping in and liberating resources, which is interesting. So Night Roar and Home Fleet, let's take a look. Night Roar. Where is Night Roar? So that is, Night Roar is 3 destroyers. That is right here. And then there's Home Fleet, Lyran Home Fleet. Where's Home Fleet? Boom. Wow, that's a stack. So Heavy Dreadnought, we've got 3 command cruisers, 3 heavy cruisers, and 15 light cruisers. That's a lot of ships. Plus 3 destroyers and 16 frigates. Wow, 16 frigates. That's 19 ships plus the 15. Jesus Christ, 34 with the cruisers. Plus another 6 is 40. 41 ships in home fleet. Wow. Wow, that's a lot. That's a concentration of ships for sure. Okay, interesting. And then of course you've got that 4 DDs added to that. What's in Silver Moon? Silver Moon is, as you can see, diving deep into Borak territory there. Where is Silver Moon? Here we are. Silver Moon, light cruiser and a frigate. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Well, we might as well explore the final of the trifecta here, which is the ISC. I'll move my head to the other side so I'm not obstructing your view. Here we go. So let's talk about the ISC real quick. There is some wormhole instability happening with this hotel wormhole. And you can see we've got a destroyer and a couple frigates guarding it. Convoy, interesting that there's a Y convoy right there. Maybe, I'm not sure why it's there. Maybe going to build a base up here. Not sure why. Exploration ships. You see a tug here building a base. More exploration activity with all these numbered fleets. But the major story for the ISC is this, which is their concentration of ships just in this pocket. Now, it's interesting to remember and note when we looked at the fleet cap numbers, the Lyrans very clearly they have almost the same number of ships as the Borak, but substantially more combat power. And I think that's fair to say that's all those light cruisers. Those light cruisers are that's the major delta right there. Those light cruisers that are being built are making the big difference. Seems like that's a really good shift for the Lyrans, in the sense they must be able to build a lot of them, and they must be more cost effective, I would imagine. So anyways, lots of light cruisers being built, and they have approximately the same number of total hulls, just a lot of those light cruisers, 15 as we saw. Whereas the ISC here, for example, and I'll pull up their, where is it? There we are. Named echelons. Okay. So as you can see, the named echelons are sparsely populated. So a lot of the stuff that's here, we got enforcement, justice, judgment, and law. Those are all in there, and there's not a lot there. So let's just do the basic counting. We've got 1, 2, 3, and I'm not going to go through the different classes because it's all scattered here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23. So it looks like 23 ships plus home fleet. And let's take a look at home fleet. So 25 ships total, give or take. So 25 ships in this little pocket right here, which is interesting because 25 ships, when you balance that out relative to what the Lyrans and the Carnarvon have here, it's quite the difference, right? The Carnarvon have, like 100 ships in this area right here. The Lyrans have 40-odd ships here, and the ISC have 20. So it's an interesting sort of step down. Well, let's just say 80, 40, 20. That's sort of like the way it's looking as far as concentration of ships. So very interesting to see that. Let's just transition here real quick, and let me get rid of that I saw in the corner. So quick question for you all. You see the smattering of our Northern Alliance, which is the Klingons, the Carnarvon, the ISC, and the Lyrans. You can see, based on everything that we've looked at, the total number of ships that they have, the economies. So, for example, the Klingons, 100 and almost 18 EP in their economy. They have 108 ships. They just built a battleship. They have M-class cruisers. They are the most advanced military in the game and the biggest economy and the second largest military force. The Carnarvons are the second largest economy, the largest military by quite a delta, and are very clearly going to be growing economically, probably by leaps and bounds in the next little while. The Lyrans, interesting. So the Lyrans, I think arguably you could say, from an economic standpoint, one of the minor powers for the longest time, including the ISC, the Borak, and all of us in that bottom tier. But based on sort of the continuous state of warfare that we've been in for, almost 10 turns now, they've grown substantially in their military. They have one of the largest militaries in the game. Like when we look at the total number of ships anyway, just pulling up fleet cap again here real quick. So the Lyrans had, let's see here. The Lyrans have 94 ships, which when you look down the list, so we know that the Klingons have 108, the Carnarvon have 172, so that's Carnarvon 1, Klingon number 2. And then going down that list, really the next largest fleet is arguably the Borak at 98 and the Lyrans right behind them at 94. And the total combat power of those fleets, the Lyrans are number 3. They've got the third most potent fleet in the game with 224. The Borak haven't cracked 200 yet when it comes to their attack factors. Similar defense factors, but attack factors, it's different. So very interesting to see that dynamic and that delta between these two factions, or between these factions. And then, of course, what is that going to mean going down the game? I think it's a very interesting tactic to see in these early portions of the game. What do you see? What you see these, there is an economic advantage to going to war early. You get to build up a military and establish sort of stability and dominance to be able to defend yourself. And your strength relative to your neighbors is like you've got a high ratio of strength to weakness in the sense of you're more powerful, relatively speaking, than your neighbors. The question I wonder is, how is this going to impact the factions later in the game and managing war turns? Because, like I say, we're pretty close to 10 turns of war here between the Borak and the Lyrans. The Carnarvon are 1 turn behind, and I think the ISC are maybe 2 turns behind that. And so we've got a confluence of factions that have, or will have by the end of it, very high war turns. What is that going to mean for the other factions? Are the other factions going to be able to leverage that in a defensive way to be able to take out or attack some of these factions that have high war fatigue, and how will that affect them? As a reminder, once you get over 20 war turns, your economy goes from being 100% of war to 75%. And then once you get past 30 turns, it goes to 50%. And then after another 10 turns, it goes down to 40%, and so on and so forth. So it can get really problematic. Not only the economy, the economic hit, but there's a negative value associated with happiness. So if you have a bunch of happy planets, as you get further into war fatigue, there is an increasing likelihood that they will all start to revert to negative attitudes. So like if it's happy plus, it'll go to friendly, and then eventually neutral, and then unhappy, and then hostile. And if you start having a whole bunch of planets do that, that can systemically cause you all sorts of problems. And remember, once you get into war fatigue, it takes you 2 turns to recover every war turn. So if you, let's just say you went into 25 turns of war, and then you got to go to peace, it's still going to take you 10 turns to get out of that war fatigue. And the 10 turns is, it's 75%. So you have 75% of your income, and then 50% of that 75%. Make sense? So like, because at peace, you only get half of your income. So your gross, or your total income, which every turn is whatever that number is. So for example, we were looking at the Klingons at 117 and a half. Let's call it 120 for easy math. So if they're 120, no problem. That's an easy number when it comes to 100%. But when you go to 75%, then all of a sudden you're at 80. Right? 4, no, that's 2/3. 5, 25, 75. Yeah, no, it's 80. Am I wrong? No, I feel like I'm wrong. That's 2/3. What am I doing wrong there? It's 30, 30. Oh, it's 90. So, brain dead. Okay, so 90. So you get 90 EP, that's 75%. And then if you're at peace, you cut that in half, that's 45. So you go from an economy that would have been 60 at peacetime to 45. Pretty impressive in the sense of like the impact it can have. And then, so you've got that. Then you've got, of course, as you grow those war turns, it can be increasingly impactful. If you've got, depending on where you are located on the map, do you have multiple factions that can begin a war with you and keep you in war fatigue? There's all sorts of ways that this can get played. And of course, when you switch over to economic status, for example, when you go to war, you got to stay at war for 4 turns. So someone can just pot shot you and keep you at war for 4 turns before you can revert back to peace. And then it just slowly, incrementally increases. So it's a very interesting dynamic. And it's a long game play. The question is, how is that going to play in the long term? Certainly, the Borak here are suffering the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune early in the game as they are being onslaughted by the CLI trifecta, the Carnivons, the Lyrans, and the ISC. And we still haven't seen the Klingons sort of weigh in on their part, but certainly there is very clear collusion happening with the northern part of the Alliance. So, Eugene, I see you're here. You say, I'm late, but I am in time to add my thumbs up. Woohoo! That's right. Tickle that algorithm in just the right way. Okay. So, a very interesting sort of development as far as how that all goes. One thing we didn't talk about when we talked about the Klingons was we talked about that random Task Force Gamma that went flying across the galaxy. Well, let's take a moment now and talk about that. All right, so we're in the bottom right of the map right now. I'll do a quick zoom out. I'll move my head to the other side so I am less obstructive. So as we zoom out here, you can see the big map. You've got the Klingons, the Carnivon, and the ISC at the top, the Borak as a blob here in the middle, the Lyrans here, the Kzinti, the Federation, the Tholians, Paravians, and then the Hydrons in the bottom right corner. And as I zoom back in and we come back down, you can see here right above my head, as I switch over to the other side, Task Force Gamma right here, thrown across the galaxy into the far reaches of space. So you can see Task Force Gamma, which is an interesting group of ships. You've got a Dreadnought, which is a C4. That's a Y-Air Dreadnought at 6'8". 2 escorts, which are destroyers, F4s. And then there is a small exploration freighter here as well. And a prime team, of course. Now, the challenge is, not only are they far flung, but they have no supply. Meaning that they can't survey the area. They can only incrementally move through 1 hex at a time. So how are they going to get anywhere from there? It'll be a very interesting question to be had. And of course, they are now, if we zoom out just a little slightly, they are now firmly in the territory, the recognized territory of the Hydrons. We can see that the Hydrons have negotiated, of course, their border with the Paravians, a diagonal border here with the Feds, and now all the way up to the top of where Borak space sort of was, a lane up the side for the Hydrons to work their way up. So we got the Hydrons. This is looking like it's going to be very interesting. You've got the Hydrons at the right, the Tholians potentially at the left, the Kzinti and the Feds in the middle. What is this going to look like later in the game? You're going to basically look like you're going to have 4 factions lined up against another 4 factions. I'm sure the ISC are going to come down this side. The Carnivon are going to come through Borak space and go south. You got the Lyrans right here straddling the difference between these two, and then the Klingons coming down the left side. So, it's going to be interesting, and arguably this becomes the front line of the future war. Very, very interesting. So yes, far-flung Klingons on the outer reaches of space. What are they going to do? Only time will tell. But let's take this second right now and talk about our good friends, the Hydrons, who have had an economic boom of sorts, and they are now at 74 EP. Okay, so let's take a look. Near our newly transported Klingons, we have Neon and Second Fleet doing their exploration business, and of course a base that... Oh, no base yet? Excuse me. I was merely assuming a base was going to be constructed. It looks like the Hydrons may be building a base soon, perhaps. Nonetheless, they have a YDK right here. Nickel Fleet doing more of X exploration. A little frigate here sitting on a base. It looks like 1-2-1-2 might be the pattern of base building that they may be adopting. More exploration fleets going on here. First Fleet sitting on a YDK. I'm curious if Hydron First Fleet is actually a war fleet of some type. It is. Oh, I've got a couple destroyers, a couple Vols, which are frigates, and a YCC. So not all exploration activity. Gold and Iron and Helium Fleet all doing what looks like exploration on the corners here. An R&D team sitting on this YBS. I'm curious. There might have been a wormhole here at one time. I don't know. I'd be curious to know. Commercial convoy making its way to Paravian space. There's one hex of fog of war between them. Very interesting. We have more bases, it looks like, being built on the... Oh, no more bases being built on the border. But we have two bases here. More exploration occurring. And, of course, as we go down here, more and more exploration. Good to note that there is an ancient size Class 2 vessel that has been discovered. Let's see. What was it? Ancient Dreadnought. So this ancient dreadnought, I'm curious to see what they will do with it, whether it will be converted into some kind of Hydron technology and therefore a warship, or will it be reverse engineered and maybe they get a tech boost from it? Who knows? We'll have to see. But if I take away the ships and bases real quick, you notice that we've got a planet that I think it was a minor before, and it's grown to be a medium. This very clearly grew from a smaller planet to a minor. So I think there was one EP each that was gained here as these planets grew. We've got the Gorn Happy Plus. We've got the Remans Happy Plus. Lots of Happy Plus going on, even though the Tau, the Voodar over here, are still unhappy with our good friends, the Hydrons. I wonder how quickly that will change with time. As we do have New Fleet there. Is there a diplomat in New Fleet? New Fleet? Yes, diplomat with a frigate. We'll see what happens. We shall see what happens. All right, let's slide my head to the other side, and we will slide over to our good friends, the boys in red, the Tholians. So we have a uninvited guest in the bottom left corner here. Not too concerned about it, I think. We have 312 battle squadron within not reaction range, but within movement range, operational movement range of the intruder. And if we look at Tholian battle squadrons, 312th is this one down here. We have a cruiser, 4 destroyers, and a YPC. More than enough to be able to deal with this little pesky biscuit over here. Beyond that, as we go around the corner, we'll come back to the wormhole. So as we go around the bottom, we've got a Happy Plus. I feel like this was a converted planet, maybe? I feel like that was. But we got a friendly developing planet, happy minor planet. And as we go along here, continuing to see a smattering of bases being built. Looks like on a 2 hex spacing. And as we go up here, we can see more exploration happening towards Kazinti space, really trying to marry the two of these together. Coming back down here, we've got 101st Battle Squadron, Home Fleet, 1st Garrison, which is all survey stuff, and then 4th Fleet. You can see they're identified as survey. And then, of course, Happy Plus with the Voodar here in close proximity to the Juliet wormhole. Interesting to remember, the Juliet wormhole, as we scroll back up to Klingon space, is within spitting distance of the Tholian border squadron, because it's on the other side of the wormhole. Klingons, where are we here? Tholian border squadron has a D4 and a total of 8 F4s, and there is now a battleship within operational movement of going through that wormhole, because it'll move 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 through the wormhole. So if I'm the Tholians, I am alert to that consideration, shall we say? Because God knows I don't want a Klingon battleship coming through that wormhole. That would just suck so many ways. I feel like this Echo wormhole is brand new, or at least if it's not brand new, that we haven't seen anything go through it yet. What do you say, Del? Has anybody gone through that wormhole? Tell me more. Tell me more. And that, my friends, is our Tholian expansion. As you can see, both the Hydrons and the Tholians really in the exploration and expansion phase of their empires versus some of the other factions that we'll be talking about here momentarily. Let's go up to the Kzinti, our good friends in white and black, our knights of the round table, you might say. And let's take a look at what's going on. They had a recent bump, and the big thing is that they converted this Gorn planet to their cause. So this Gorn is a medium planet, which means it's an immediate 4 EP bump. I think they were at 74, 75 last time. So that plus a newly discovered resource somewhere. There's one right there. And boom, there all of a sudden you have them escalating their economy. So interesting to note, they also have some uninvited guests, some auxiliary battle cruisers and cruisers. But luckily for them, they have fleets or ships in the area. Ally 6, Home Fleet, Earl Fleet. Let's take a look at what's in some of these. So we'll look at Home because it's right there. Home Fleet, within operational movement of our visitors, a dreadnought, 3 command cruisers, and a total of 3 frigates. More than enough to deal with those pesky intruders. But just in case, we've got Earl Fleet nearby. And Earl Fleet, oh, that's just a survey fleet. There's nothing there. Constance, what's the Constable Fleet? Okay, Constable Fleet, that's a command cruiser and a YFF. You know, it's comparable. But certainly Home Fleet can go in there and just stomp and smash them to pieces. Over here we have Olympus Fleet, Baron and Count doing their exploration business with tugs getting ready to build and support. We've got this one, of course, has built a YDK. I'm curious to see what other things they will be building. And as we scroll up, we can see, obviously, we've got the trade route with the Federation that was established a couple turns ago. The most recent conversion of the Gorn over to Kzinti interests. And as we move up here, our next, I imagine, target for conversion is this friendly Vudar planet, which is a developing planet, so 2 EP once it's successfully converted. And what do we got? We got, if we take away the ships real quick, we've got bases and YDKs being built up here. I have a feeling we're going to have some more exciting stuff happening. The Riemann faction right here is an indifferent developing planet, so nothing too exciting. But certainly in the neutral zone, well, not in the neutral zone, it's got its own little neutral zone there. If they can convert those, that would be another 2 and another 2. That's another 4 EP they could add to their economy in the next 10 turns or so, depending on how well they're able to convert. They did really well with the Gorn here as far as speed of execution to convert them. I think it was like 5 to 8 turns of concentrated diplomacy, and bang, they switched over, which is, from an ROI perspective, not knowing how much EP the Kzinti spent to do that, but from an overall EP perspective, that is a great return on investment, because normally if you attack it and devastate it, it'll give you, a developing planet will give you 2 EP for 10 turns, then another 4 turns for it to recover, and then it'll be at full 4 EP. So you've got a 20 EP, arguably 28 EP delta in difference. So as long as he spent less than that in converting it, it's a net benefit. So this base will be completed this turn. This will be completed next turn. This YDK and this one up here. And yeah, the Kzinti are looking like they are prepping and getting themselves ready. Economically strong, war turns knocked off. Like I said, they've got 80 EP. They're in the top tier of economies in this game. And again, just looking at the EP structure here, you know, the Borak, based on their current sort of dynamic, they've got 74.5 EP, but those numbers are going to drop precipitously, as as that gathering storm of clouds continues to move across its territory and take over all those resources. That's going to be a real pain in the posterior, for sure. Hiccup. All right, let's talk about our good friends, the boys in blue, the Fédération. Okay, well, as you can see, down along the southern border, we have made contact, or the Federation has made contact with the Paravians. We have a YDK with some frigates. These Paravian ships are just kind of lingering here, not doing too much. It looks like the Paravian cruiser is maintaining its position in the neutral zone, perhaps to dissuade Federation from creeping in, taking advantage of the current other blue invasion that is occurring. It'll be very interesting to see how that develops. Other than that, as we go up, we can see that diplomatic action is being somewhat unsuccessful with the Romulans as they continue to be unhappy, although there is a commercial convoy heading that way. So until they're indifferent, they won't be able to establish trade just yet. So we scroll up here along the border with the Kzinti. It looks like all things are good with the Kzinti, with 8th Fleet and Home Fleet. I imagine those aren't really anything significant. Yeah, we got a crippled frigate with a scout, which is just a little bit better to explore than some other ships. And then a Home Fleet, which has 6 light cruisers, a couple frigates, a couple crippled frigates, a scout, and a YCC. So nothing too much, nothing too crazy, just kind of moving its way around here. As we scroll up, we've got, of course, this Vudar planet, unhappy. This seems to be a trend with the Federation for some reason. All their minor planets don't seem to be very happy with them for some reason. Unhappy Vudar, and you can see there's 6th Fleet, perhaps a combat fleet? 6th Fleet? No, just a survey fleet. So no military action being amassed to deal with these guys. A commercial convoy heading here, but until this is indifferent, they won't be able to begin trading. Commercial convoy coming down from the Lyrans towards this YDK right here. Task Force Cosnet guarding the border, or at least keeping things copacetic. We can see Cosnet is a light cruiser and 4 frigates. Interesting. Stoker, which is the other task force in the neighborhood, is up in the corner here with a ISC cruiser and 3 light cruisers supporting maybe exploration, I guess. As we scroll over to the right of the map, just kind of above my head there, I will move myself over. We can see here that we've got more survey activity happening. We take away these ships. This base will be completed in 2 turns, I think. 2 turns. So then we have increased supply up this way. The Gorn still very happy with the Federation, which is good. And then, of course, we've got probably this tug, which will be building a base here shortly, I would imagine. And then, of course, more fleets doing their exploration. Let's see what New Fleet is. Is New Fleet actually a combat fleet? Nope, more survey. So lots of survey activity. Again, the Federation squarely in their exploration and expansion phase of their game. And then, of course, more of that down the side with this ISC Dreadnought. Oh, that's a mint Dreadnought doing that business right there. Okay, so let's slide back to the chat and talk about that. All right, so there's a lot of heady stuff going on there. We talked about the Hydrons, we talked about the Kzinti, the Federation, the Tholians, all the 4 factions in the south, with the exception of the Borak and the Paravians. We're going to get to them in a moment. Jim saying, that's a medium planet, Tony, not a developing one, the Kzinti, so it's 4 EP. The medium planet is the Gorn that was converted. The other planets that we're talking about in Kzinti space were developing. So, for example, the Riemann, which was the red and white, and I'll just quickly show you what I'm talking about. So this is a developing planet. This is a developing planet. Notice the iconography, just a slight difference here. You've got the small circle with the dot in the middle, and just because of the way the color contrast is, there's like 2 little dots there. This one is just a little circle with a dot. This one is the medium planet. The medium planet iconography is the small, once it decides to be nice, is the small circle with the big circle on top. That's the difference there. All right, back to Jim. So for EP, so when you conquer a medium planet and it's devastated, A devastated planet does not give you 4 EP. A devastated planet, if it is minor or below, will give you 1 EP. A devastated medium or major planet will give you 2 EP. And that's the difference, according to our player info sheet. Dell says, no wormhole shenanigans yet. Yes, well, we shall see. We shall see, says Sean from Beyond the Grave. I'm a big fan of Highlander. He'll come back. Okay, quick sip. All right, let's talk about the other boys in blue and the incursions that are occurring in our Paravian neck of the woods. All right, let's scroll in. All right, so we're starting on this side of the wormhole just to be able to see what's going on here. So what do we have? We have Paravian space. As you can see, I'll take away the ships real quick so we can see where the bases are happening. So important to note a couple things on this map. The Paravians currently have 75 EP, and according to this map, the Borak have 74.5. This gives the Borak initiative based on how we do initiative. Smaller economies go first. So the Borak have initiative over the Paravians. That's a real distinct advantage. And if it were to switch, one of the big issues around switching, if you have initiative and then it switches so that you're going second relative to the person you're sort of fighting a war against, it can be catastrophic, assuming that the other player is taking advantage of it. So what does that mean? So you see, when we came through the wormhole, there's a lot of blue here now because we've taken a lot of these resources. That's fantastic. Except that, or one of the challenges is that once you do that, you have your turn and then you go. And then, of course, the next person in initiative goes next. So let's say, for example, this turn, it was the other way around. The Borak had 75 and the Paravians had 74.5. So the Borak had gone, and then the Paravians went. And arguably, you could say there's probably some crippled ships that need to be moved out of the way and some repositioning, and just make sure everything's nice and polished and you're in a good defensive position. However, if the Paravians were going first, they can build and move before you have that opportunity to reposition and consolidate. And so it's essentially as if they go first twice, because they go twice in a row. If they were second in initiative the previous turn, they went last. And if they're first in initiative this turn, they go first. They have 2 turns sequentially, one after the other, relative to this fight. And you can really leverage that. So the magic for the Borak is to make sure that we do not switch initiative or flip the initiative. We want to maintain the initiative over the Paravians and keep from doing that. So how does this work? As we build bases into this area of space, obviously we'll be building out supplies. So you can see 98 fall is the start of this turn. This turn is turn 66. That is 98 fall. The next turn, 67, will be 99 spring. Assuming we keep initiative, this base will be completed at the beginning of the Borak turn, and this will be completed at the beginning of the next Borak turn. So these 2 bases will be able to provide supply. In addition to that, right here, you will see there is a YMC. This is a Y-era military convoy. In previous games, we haven't really used military convoys too much because they were more expensive, like twice as expensive. They didn't really bring a lot of combat value because it's only a 2 attack, 6 defense unit. But military convoys have distinct capabilities that Y convoys don't. For example, a military convoy, if it is within 2 hexes of a fixed supply node, can extend supply and extend the fixed supply grid. This is different from a tug and different from a Y convoy or normal convoy. Normal convoys can move and then provide extended supply in the same turn. Tugs need to move into position, and then once they're in position at the beginning of the next turn, be assigned the tug mission to provide extended supply. So a slight difference there. Also, normal convoys are not strategic movement nodes, meaning you can't use strategic movement to get there, but tugs are. Military convoys have a little bit of the best of both worlds. They can move and provide supply in the same turn. If they are within 2 hexes of a fixed supply node, they can extend supply of the fixed supply grid. So right now, the military convoy is in Alpha Alpha 54. It is 2 hexes away, 1, 2 through the wormhole. There's a YDK on the other side of the wormhole. It is 2 hexes away at this time from the nearest supply node, thereby extending, and if it's providing extended supply, it's extending the supply grid to its supply tech out. Once this base is completed on the beginning of this turn, the military convoy can move 1 hex up, down, all around and provide extended supply and continue to extend that supply out. The difference is 2 hexes. If it goes beyond 2 hexes, it loses that capability, and it just operates essentially like a normal convoy in extending supply. But the extension of the fixed supply is really valuable, and it is also a strategic transport node, which, depending on your tech, allows you to really move ships quickly into that field. And so, if we look back at our the Borak space here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going through the wormhole. 6 gets us to the other side of the wormhole, right here. 7, 8. So where this base is being constructed, that is 2 times the strategic movement of a Y airship. So 2 times is 8. That's 8 hexes. So you could strategically move ships to here once it's all said and done. All right. Also, one thing to note, when we came into this space, there was a base being constructed in this hex. There were bases lining this area and, of course, further down. Since this past turn, and since arriving into this neck of the woods, the Borak have engaged in some significant activity to try and eliminate the supply and bases of the Paravians to basically have the reach to be able to reach out and counterattack against the Borak. So as you can see, we've eliminated a whole bunch of their bases, and it impacts their supply. I'm trying to pull up the Paravian supply here and set supply. We're going to set supply at, I'm going to set supply at 4 because I'm pretty sure they have 4 supply. So based on their current supply, this is sort of what they look like. Note that they can't get back to the wormhole right now. Interesting, huh? Now, if we use our supply menu for the Borak, look how far we reach right now. Interesting, huh? So these ships can reach out, and we've basically destroyed all their supply nodes, like fixed supply, into these areas. So, for example, there's a planet here that's providing supply. So this planet and this planet are the 2 supply nodes that are allowing these guys, or the Paravians, to extend their supply this far. Take these 2 planets away, they can't reach it this far. There's a base here, of course, that's a fixed supply point, or a fixed supply node. And basically take the planets and these 2 bases away, and it really impairs their ability to reach out and sort of touch the Borak. But let's get rid of those. Excuse me. Let's get rid of those supply menus. There we go. And let's just look at what we got here. So one of the things that was really interesting looking at the Paravian fleet was that they now have 45 ships, right? When we looked at the fleet cap numbers, the Paravians had a total of 45 ships. The Borak have 98, so almost double. This is basically the same situation, but in reverse, that the Borak are facing with the Carnivon. Except, of course, in that scenario, you've got 3 factions ganging up on the Borak instead of 1-on-1. But I digress. So the Paravians have 45 versus the Borak 98. It is fair to say that the majority of all the combat ships are in this neck of the woods. There's a lot of them. And so we've got red and blue Dragon Fleet, white Dragon Fleet, and Takisa's fleet. These are sort of the main sorties or the main push into this area. And they are facing off against Falcon and Eagle Fleet. Now, if you remember, Eagle Fleet was, I believe, positioned here, and it was ready to reach out and basically attack Solar Fleet. That was sort of the idea, I think, of how and why he was amassing that fleet there. They've since moved up here to be in a sort of a defensive position to be able to help push back against the Borak incursion. Eagle Fleet is not small. Eagle Fleet is, as we see here, it is 3 cruisers and 12 frigates. So it's not small. It's not nothing. Falcon Fleet, on the other hand, is a little more impressive, generally speaking. Falcon Fleet has really increased its number. We had an encounter with them and basically crippled a bunch of their frigates that you can see are crippled here. But they have 9 frigates, a light cruiser, no less, and 5 cruisers. So there's quite a combat-capable fleet here sitting on this base. And if the Borak were so bold as to attack this base, Eagle Fleet can use extended reaction to get in there and help. And that's a big one. So, what do we see here? We have basically a battle that could be brewing where you could have Falcon and Eagle fighting off against the bulk of the Borak fleet. So this entire fleet, which would be 5, 6, 7, 8 cruisers, a light cruiser, and 12 plus 9, so 21 plus 3 crippled frigates, so 21 plus 8, 9, that's 30 ships, 30, we'll call it 33 ships, plus a base. EW advantage is significant versus the fleet that's coming in here. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all works. I am pretty positive that a blowout battle between Falcon and Eagle Fleet and whatever the Borak bring to the table will be pretty significant. The question is who wins. And I think that the overall combat effectiveness of the Paravians, being that they have 4 6 cruisers and their frigates are 2 3s, it's going to be a pretty, it'll be a very intense battle. However, whoever wins that battle takes it all. And it'll be very interesting to see. So let's just do a quick little comparison. Borak. Red Dragon. Borak. There we are. Blue Dragon. So it's red and blue that are in this hex right here. White Dragon's right next door, so let's just pull up White Dragon just for S and Gs. And let's just do this comparison just for numbers. Just for numbers' sake. Actually, I could probably do it in the compot here. So let's look at the Borak. So we've got Blue Dragon has 22 ships. Oh, let's just do quick math here. Oh, there we go. Write it down on my sticky notes. That's probably the easiest way to go. All right. Sticky notes. Best way to do stuff. Okay. So we've got Blue Dragon has 23 ships. It has a total attack factor of 47 and 92. The green, no, not green, Red Dragon. Where's Red Dragon? Red. Anytime you're ready, red. Oh, there's Red Dragon. So Red Dragon has 17 ships. And where'd you go? And 50 attack, 82 defense. And then we'll throw in White Dragon just for S and Gs. They have another 10 ships, and it's 2239. So here's just basic math on how sometimes you can compare these. So we have a total of 30, 40, 50 ships. Total attack factor, that's 97, 109. Am I doing that right? 60, 50, yeah, 109. And then, oh goodness, 174, 204. 204 brain work. 213. Okay. Back of the napkin math. 50 ships with 109 attack and 213 defense. The Paravians have, by comparison, where are my Paravians? The Paravians have, Eagle Fleet has 15 ships, and Falcon Fleet has 18 ships. Eagle Fleet has 3654, 36 attack, 54 defense. Falcon Fleet has 44 attack, 68. 68. Okay, so just doing the basic math here, we've got a total of 33 ships. Plus they got a base, so we'll include the base here in a second. 70, 80 total attack. That's 110. 110, 118, 122 defense. And plus they have a YBS, which adds 4 and 8, plus EWs. So we'll call it the equivalent of 34 ships with 84 attack and 130 defense. So the basic napkin math on what we're seeing just on numbers is you have a force, potentially, of 50 ships attacking with 109 attack and 213 defense versus a defending fleet of 34 ship equivalents. We'll call it base a ship equivalent for the purposes of this, and 84 attack, 130 defense. That is a difference of 16 ships. That is a difference of 25 attack and 80, almost 80 defense. So that's quite a difference. Quite a difference. And I would say that, strangely enough, the advantage goes to the Borak in this calculation, because even though their frigates are shitty, their frigates don't change their attack factor when they get crippled. The attack factor remains consistent. So the Paravians their overall combat effectiveness will decrease over time, and the Paravians won't, or sorry, the Borak won't, which is weird to say. But the advantage of the Borak frigates is that, I mean, it's a really questionable advantage, but they have a 1 attack when they're capable, fully non-crippled, and they have a 1 attack when they're crippled. So they have the exact same attack factor, whether they're crippled or not crippled. So the total attack factor, depending on the composition of the battle line, really won't change that much from battle round to battle round. Whereas once all the frigates are crippled for the Paravians, they will see their combat effectiveness fall off a cliff as they dramatically start to reduce their total combat effectiveness. So who will win that fight? Will that be the fight? How will it evolve? Who knows? That's only a couple of, that's not even all the sort of options that are there. There's so many different ways that this could play out. And like I say, lots of different opportunities here for the sort of development of how this is all going to go. Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm very curious to see, keeping in mind that Derek, who is the player for the Paravians, is highly skilled, crafty as heck. I would argue, I don't know that he's ever lost a game. So this might be the first potential opportunity to sort of win against Derek. But the thing is, there's so many different ways this could go. And it really depends on the objective of sort of the Borak versus the Paravians. So if I'm the Paravians, how would I play this? And what is my goal? Is my goal to defend against the Borak attack? Am I trying to get behind their lines and rout them from behind, killing their supply lines? Do I want to just slow them down and just grind them out because I'm really close to my homeworld? I can build more ships more quickly. I know that there is this massive wave of ships that it's about to take out the Borak, so maybe I just need to, slow them down and take my time. Maybe that's the way to go. Also, another possibility is maybe they want to. Maybe they're just going to turtle and try and turtle defense. But again, that's sort of like we're trying to slow them down. From the Borak perspective, what's the objective? Well, so far it looks like there's been a systematic approach of eliminating the supply of all the Paravian supply points. So basically isolating that top corner near the wormhole so that it's sort of protected and sort of isolated away from what the Paravians can access. So denying them resources. Also building our resources to be able to fund the war machine, so to speak, as we saw, losing resources on the other end. So is there an opportunity to just sort of eliminate a bunch of supply points? A pivotal battle on that Echo, like on that where Falcon Fleet is, might result in an elimination or an eradication of the majority of Paravian ships. Maybe that is an advantage. So, like for example, there's 3 crippled frigates. If I were to have another all-out battle with them and cripple, let's say, all their frigates, and maybe all my frigates get crippled too. But again, the combat effectiveness of my frigates doesn't change even if they're crippled. Granted, you'll lose them if they die after being crippled. But if we get to blow the base up, and there's lots of opportunity as to why that would be advantageous. You know what I mean? If we take out that base, there's just lots of interesting opportunities here as to how this could go and how this will evolve going forward. So, anywho, what do you think? As we slide back to the chat, what do you think about the sort of current evolution of the war on 4 fronts for the Borak? How do you think things are going to go for the Paravians, the Borak, or the CLI trifecta, and how that's going to? Let's talk about it in the chat. All right. So we already had the wager. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, another coffee has been fired. Let me take a quick sip to celebrate. Where's my chat so I can see who sent that? A space anomaly. Pew pew. Daniel, thank you very much. A celebration through the nation. Here we go. All right. So let's talk about where we're at here when it comes to the wager. When we started the war, or when the war started between initially the Lyrans and the Borak, and then the Carnarvon got in, and then the IC got in, there was a wager to see how long the Borak would last, or would they last at all? Would they last as long as 10 turns? Would they last as long as longer than that? Would they die in like 5 or 6, or would they surrender? And so I remember, as the player, there were some dark days as I was analyzing and looking back at what the options were. And then instead of focusing on a linear, no holds barred sort of end game where, you sort of butt your head against your opponent and whoever comes out on top wins, I explored the option of an alternate scenario, which was essentially going through the wormhole and tracking resources that way, as opposed to doing a frontal assault with the Carnarvon, the Lyrans, and the IC. As you can probably tell, based on the numbers alone, that wouldn't have gone my way, as the Lyrans and both the Lyrans and the Carnarvon, obviously the Carnarvon, militarily speaking, outperform me. The Lyrans, for example, with their light cruiser, great ship. They've built so many of them, it's really outperforming the Borak fleet composition. The Carnarvons just have way more ships, so they just have more stuff to fight with. And then, of course, the two of them combined with the ISC, it's all over but the crying. So when dealing with that particular dilemma and the choices that were faced, I can either fight them, and I will fight a losing battle over time. I think it is probable to say that I could have done some really significant damage, slowed them down a lot, but at the end of the day, lose. Versus with this pivot, which is interesting because this pivot is moving into and choosing to engage with an opponent who is sort of the inverse, like I was saying, of the relationship I have with the Carnivon. The Carnivon are 2-to-1 ship to ship to me. I am 2-to-1 ship to ship with the Paravians. Total combat effectiveness, again, 2-to-1 effectively. How will this work out over the long term? We'll have to see. But it'll be very interesting to determine how this moves forward and what level of success there is for these factions, for the Borak relative to these factions going forward. How long will it take? Because, the Carnivon and the Lyrans and the ISC are just itching to pull the trigger. You can see the Lyrans creeping in, just sort of like taunting, for lack of a better way to describe it, the Borak as they move forward. The Carnivon, basically, it looks like they're waiting for their bases to be built, and then they're going to just wash in. And the ISC seem to be doing something very similar. So the only time that the Borak have to their advantage at this point is the time it takes for them to build bases and build the logistical support to be able to facilitate the attack. So at this point, the Borak need to take advantage of that time, move quickly as possible, and execute and accomplish their goals ASAP. Whether the Paravians will be able to respond in as timely a fashion, we'll have to see. We will have to see. All right. With that said, what do we got? Oh, goodness, more chat. What do we got? So Daniel's waving a pink hand. Bill Smith says, Jim, I don't know what you mean. I can only fight as fast as my bases. What is Jim saying? Let's see here. Jim, that's a medium planet. Bill Smith, another place where Paravians might be getting extra FFs. He has at least 4 YDKs. Yes, and the YDKs, of course, can build FFs, and that's a huge advantage. So maybe something to take out. Maybe. We'll see. Bill Smith, pew pew. I did not see a commercial, man. Yeah, no commercial this week. And Jim says, but the Carnivon are being slow, Bill, not the ISC. Is that what he's saying? I can't. There's this little heart, 100%, this little thing in the corner that makes it impossible to see what is actually getting written there. Got it. Okay. Yeah. But the Carnivon are being slow, Bill, not the ISC. I don't know what to say. All right. So what do you think? Are we going to see the Borak fall in the next 5 turns? Are we going to see them somehow struggle and survive? Are we going to see the Paravians wipe away this blue smudge from their space? Or is it going to be the other way where the ants are going to swarm the queen and take out the Paravian bird in her nest? Who knows? The only way to find out is to keep following along, hit the subscribe button just like Faru did with notifications to make sure that you can hear and see what we're publishing, when we're publishing, and what the latest story is. Of course, if you are going to the next level, you can be like our members with our coffee group, hitting that QR code and or the link in the corner there, coffee.com/New Worlds, also pinned in the comments. You can head over there and fire us a photon of coffee and or join our coffee and Discord tier, and you can support us monthly and join our Discord channel and partake in the banter, the role play, the narrative development that is occurring, and of course, be next in line for the next games when they get going. Bill says, again, bases 3 turns for operational use, 2 to build, activates essentially start of 3rd turn. So, Jim, okay. The Lyrans are pushing but not building bases. So, okay. Interesting. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But again, very interesting to see how this is all developing and what is going to happen in the next turn. With that said, I'm going to bid you adieu. We will roll on over to our coffee our Discord channel and carry on the conversation there. If you want to join us, you know what to do. Otherwise, I will see you next week, the same bat time, same bat channel. Ciao for now.